Following the last convention in 2017, spirits were high among the Insulation Industry International Apprentice and Training Fund leaders, trustees, and steering committee. The delegates of the 31st Quinquennial Convention approved a funding increase for the Training Fund of an additional 1 cent per year for 5 years, assessed by every local union. This began January 1, 2018, taking the Training Fund's allocations from 5 cents to 10 cents per hour worked, an increase that would dramatically impact the future of training for our union. Then Training Fund Administrator Thomas A. Hahn was excited to start executing a plan on how best to provide more training options and materials for local unions and training centers across the United States and Canada. The International Training Fund was able to introduce, grow, and expand multiple training programs. Some of those programs include fire stop and thermography education and training courses, the instruction of additional OSHA courses, Train the Trainer advanced pad development and advanced metal layout classes, local JATC new training coordinator instruction, and a grant writing course. International Training Fund trustees made it clear they wanted to be proactive in efforts to help the union meet its needs for increased skilled manpower. This went beyond the expanded training to also include allocating significant financial resources to the development of materials to improve apprentice recruitment. Another sign that local JATCs were improving was the increased attention to the annual apprentice competitions at all levels. More apprentices began to participate in the local and conference level competitions. The competitiveness on display in the apprentice competitions reinforces the tremendous talents that our training programs have developed.
It's grown. Everybody that's seen it's grown. It's just overwhelmingly things that we never thought would come out of it, besides the competition, and yes, you want to see somebody win. But there's so many things, I could talk for hours on that, the side effects of what it's produced, and it's a joy to all of us that see it. It's a lot of work, but it's enjoyable work.
As we welcomed in 2020, ready for further growth and learning opportunities, we learned new and unwelcome terms, coronavirus and COVID-19. Suddenly, everything was different. Future training plans and further expansion came to a grinding halt. Face-to-face, in-person classes stopped as training centers internationally were silenced. The start of 2020 was full of questions. But being resilient has allowed this organization to endure for nearly 120 years. And the International Training Fund, along with the rest of the union, learned to be comfortable being uncomfortable and began to embrace a new world. The Training Fund and the International Union accepted the landscape and pivoted to virtual training. Local coordinators relied heavily on existing online resources. The same was true for instructors. One of the first classes that was held virtually was the refresher OSHA 502 course. Taught via Zoom, this was the first time in the Insulators' history that this training was held online.
More and more locals started using the online curriculum over the years. We learned a lot. It's another tool in our tool belt, to be honest with you, but now it's certainly being utilized from the top to the bottom, at the local level, all the way up, obviously, through the top.
At the beginning of 2020, John L. Stahl was appointed a Training Fund Administrator to work with Hahn for a transition period. He worked with Hahn for just a few months before being separated due to pandemic restrictions. Then, on February 1, 2021, after 22 years of leading the International Training Fund, Thomas A. Hahn retired. Throughout his 46-year career, Hahn's work made an unparalleled impact on our union.
With Tom Hahn and his career in this position, all throughout my career as an apprentice coordinator, I looked up to him. I remember when I first met him, and you knew instantly he's one of those individuals that when you're around, you know that he's got his game on. They're big shoes to fill, I know that, but I can give 110% and taking this apprenticeship into the future.
Continuing COVID plans started by Hahn, Stahl actively promoted virtual options as a way to conduct training. One example of this is when the Western States Conference held its first virtual conference apprentice competition. The International Training Fund helped promote the event virtually through live streaming on Facebook.
As the rest of the world, we adapted to virtual conferencing, classes, OSHA. One of the things that we did was to take some of the dated trainings out and move them into a video format so that an apprentice coordinator can take that video, bring it up on the screen, show the apprentices that process that typically isn't being done nowadays, and still have some knowledge of it.
In the fall of 2021, the Training Fund launched the first ever grant writing course, which was open to all locals and JATCs. The goal was to educate those in attendance how to write and apply for grants that will bolster the funds available for training at the respective locals. Moving into this year, with some health restrictions lifted, Stahl expressed optimism about the future of the International Training Fund and the return of valuable in-person training. This past spring, the Train the Trainer Advanced Pad Development and Advanced Metal Layout classes returned to an in-person event as well.
Virtual's never going to replace hands-on. The majority are in the building trades because they learn by doing.
2022 also welcomed the return of the Master Apprentice Competition and Joint Apprentice Conference as in-person events. Thanks to the funding increases, the Training Fund had the opportunity to reimburse local JATCs with up to $3,000 so 2 training coordinators or instructors could attend the conference. This boosted attendance as more local JATCs were able to benefit from the 3-day conference and connect face-to-face for the first time in years, where training tips and best practices were shared. The return of in-person activities also provided opportunities to recruit future apprentices by visiting schools and career fairs. To supplement these events, the International Training Fund will debut a new recruitment campaign later this year that targets middle school-age students. A companion video is also being produced that will target the parents and guidance counselors of these middle school children.
We realize that there's a need for the local apprenticeship programs in recruitment. You get to earn while you learn in this trade, and we need that message to get out there, and we believe that we need to go after a younger target audience so that it's instilled in them by the time they need to make that decision.
The goal of the Insulation Industry International Apprentice and Training Fund has always been to provide our local union training programs with the best training tools available. As we look ahead, our work will continue to adapt to industry demands. There's still much work to be done. The process has started with updated educational material for fire stop and smoke seal training, and in the future, we'll continue to reevaluate our curriculum and the manner in which it is presented.
There's a lot of technology out there that we can utilize. A lot of our thoughts moving forward are going to be a new vision of where we can go with training.
Brothers and sisters, our union has the best trained, most educated, and skilled instructors in the mechanical insulation, asbestos abatement, and fire stop industries. Your support will be the fuel that drives us forward.